Hey guys, what's up? So before we get started, a couple quick trigger warnings on this video. First off, the entire video portion of this production will have absolutely nothing to do with what I'm talking about. It is going to be drone footage. Sorry, I don't really have any video footage to go along with this. And I don't really feel like just recording myself talking right now. I'd have to put clothes on. Secondly, okay, second trigger warning, I'm going to talk a lot about barfing, vomiting. I'm going to mention vomiting a few times in this video. Okay, so here we go. For those of you who have ridden with me, you may have noticed that sometimes I'm a okay rider and sometimes I really, really suck. So let's figure out what's wrong with me. First off, there are two health issues that I have, and when it comes to cycling, and one I've had pretty much my whole life, and that is GERD, or gastric gastric something reflux disease. And then the second thing, I don't really have a name for, but essentially I go numb in my left arm. So here's the deal. If you have either one of these issues, I'm going to tell you how I'm dealing with it and what I've done to try to figure it out and where I'm at with it. So first off, let's talk about the GERD. So starting about, probably when I was in college, maybe even a little before that, really my whole life, I've always had stomach issues, but I would have a meal and then I would start to get pressure in my esophagus. And this could be a small meal. This didn't have to be like some giant meal. I could eat just about anything. I'd start to get some pressure in my esophagus and I would end up being really uncomfortable, a lot of pressure, and eventually almost sick to the point where I would like vomit. Yeah, so I finally realized that Prilosec or Omeprazole, which is the generic for that, would fix that. And that improved my life greatly. So I started taking that pretty regularly, probably about 10 years ago. And I would say that that was a big improvement. And I started taking the over-the-counter, and then eventually I got it in prescription, and I take it pretty much every day. So there's one issue. And then the second issue is my left arm and sometimes my heart. So when I start riding, sometimes I start to get pressure in my left arm. It gets really numb feeling and tight feeling, almost as if somebody's put a tourniquet on my left arm. And this could lead you to think that maybe I have some kind of artery issue, heart issue or something, which is what I've thought for a long time. I have spent a lot of money and time trying to figure out what's causing this. So I've been to the doctor a couple times for it. The first time I ended up getting a stress test, which I did fine on, no problems. I didn't have the issue when I did the stress test. And it came back, it got worse. And at one point I was on a mountain bike ride with my buddy Ryan, and I started thinking I was going to black out early in the ride while climbing a rather easy hill. And so I decided to go back and look into it again. This time I was shown to a cardiologist, or sent to a cardiologist who had me do a couple more tests. One of them was very, very expensive, involved many hours and a camera. And again, no problems were found. My heart seemed to be fine. He said I shouldn't really be worried about pushing my heart. Okay, so let me be real specific about the two problems, how they feel like, and you know, you can decide if you maybe have these problems too. First off, the GERD, when you're riding, you're gonna get this like stomach acid, stomach pain, of course. GERD, you're gonna get this pressure, but it has a pretty weird effect when you're riding. First off, it can make your head kind of feel dizzy, very slow, like your brain's kind of getting disconnected. It can make your eyesight affected, like your eyes, you will be slow. It's a lot like motion sickness for me, where I feel dizzy, confused. On the mountain bike, it's very difficult. It's mostly on the mountain bike where I have this problem, but I have had it on road biking too. And generally, like water I will not be able to drink water. If I try to, I just end up getting sick and throwing up. And this will last sometimes for a couple hours. Usually, eventually, I'll barf out a bunch of almost nothing, usually just water and stomach fluids, and then I'll start to feel better and ride better, and oftentimes I'll ride really strong after that. Now, the other problem, which I don't really have a name for, just the left arm numbness. Oh, and I forgot to mention, too, that GERD can also cause a lot of chest pressure that almost feels like a heart attack. You might think you're having a heart attack, but you're not. It's not really pain. It's just chest pressure, and that's the reflux, acid reflux. So the other problem, like I was saying, the left arm thing can happen totally independently, and what happens there is when I start to ride, my left arm starts to feel numb, and like it also I start to tend to get this feeling like, like I'm like basically as if there's not enough blood to fill up the left arm of my body. Like it's like the left arm is suffering for blood. If I keep pushing through this, sometimes it'll almost move up over to my through my chest or my other arm, where they just feel almost like there's a little bit of a tourniquet on them. But oftentimes my legs will feel fine, and I won't really have any other issues when this happens. Okay, and so how I've dealt with these. So first off, the Prilosec, of course, has helped, but I've realized that here in the last few months, like say the last 2 times I've tried the mountain bike ride, both times I've had the exact same problem. I've thrown up about an hour into the ride on both rides. I feel sorry for Ryan because I think it was at least one of them was hit with him, and it's pretty disgusting. And then eventually I end up start riding stronger and start riding better after that. So I've realized that I can help this situation out a lot if I've started taking 2 Prilosecs in the morning. And this seems to have really straightened out my stomach a lot, but also taking some antacid before the ride and riding on a mostly empty stomach. That's really, really important for mountain biking. For me, if I have a lot of food in my stomach, it just doesn't go well for me. It's going to make for a bad day. So I need to ride with a mostly empty stomach, and I don't need to drink a bunch before the ride. That just seems to make it worse. I need to have a very empty stomach, and then once I get going, I can start drinking frequently. I can start eating, but until then, if I start eating or drinking before, it just seems to want to come out. The antacid makes a huge difference, so a few Tums before the ride makes a huge difference on how that goes. Now, the other issue, the left arm issue, this is the one that's scary because, you think, well, your left arm, it means you're having a heart attack. And so far, I've been doing this, my whole life. I mean, not my whole life, but I've had this issue, and it just seems to get worse over the years. But I mean, it's been going on for years, and I'm riding hard. I mean, I'm pushing myself on a lot of rides. I haven't had a heart attack yet, so I'm not really worried about it. But at the same time, I think it is worrisome. First off, it's keeping me from doing what I want to do, which is riding as hard as I can. So I didn't mention before, but when this happens, also too, my heart rate tends to be kind of tapped out around 160. Whereas I know, in the past I've been able to hit say 180. But so my heart rate is slow, and then once it does get, once I do get really warmed up, it does seem to be easier to get that heart rate up. And that's probably true for everybody, but it seems to be worse every year, But again, I'm 41 years old now, so maybe that's the case. So what I found out to deal with this left arm pain is I need, first off, sleep. I need plenty of sleep. I need to make sure that I'm not exhausted when I start riding. If I've had a long day at work and I'm feeling kind of stressed out and tired, and I try to do a workout at night, it makes it worse. Having food in my stomach seems to make this worse, which makes me wonder if it's not connected to the GERD. But oftentimes I've had this feeling without the actual stomach problems. But definitely having food fluid in my stomach seems to make this left arm thing worse. So then the other thing I found that deals with it is just a good slow warm up. Like if I take 35, 45 minutes at a pretty moderate pace to warm up. That helps a lot. And then another thing I found that really, really helps is once I get to the point where I feel like it's starting to happen, my left arm's getting numb, my heart rate may be around 140 usually when it starts, and I push it up there a little bit, and then I stop for a while. Stopping for a while tends to make it better. Like if I stop, get off the bike, spend 10, 15 minutes kind of just chilling out, it tends to make it better. So, you know, like these two problems have definitely kind of held me back in riding a lot. Mountain biking especially, because they're compounded mountain biking. The GERD is really, really, really bad. And then the left arm pain and the tightness definitely is bad. Mountain biking is difficult to have a nice, easy, slow warm up because sometimes you just have to put a lot of power out. And also the trails, you know, jumbling and bouncing up and down stuff tends to make my stomach even worse. So, mountain biking for me, I have to kind of definitely got to start focusing on starting with an empty stomach and not, you know, and making sure I have those Tums and, you know, low acid content in my stomach when I start riding. I would say if you're dealing with these problems and you're able to, like me, what I've been told by a lot of the different healthcare people I've talked about, what I've been told is that, you know, like if your heart is performing like you think it should, a lot of times, it's probably not, you probably don't have an artery issue like bad arteries. You probably don't have a heart issue. There's something else going on. But I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. You should probably go to the doctor. I'll just say that I've spent a lot of money and got zero answers from the the doctors I've gone to. I mean, they don't seem to have a clue. They don't seem to know what's going on. The test I've spent, I spent so much money doing these treadmill tests, and I kept telling them, I'm like, well, the problem is mainly cycling. Does it happen when I walk or jog? Yes, but I don't really, sometimes, but not really, because I don't really walk and jog. So it's maybe more of a cycling thing. I think a lot of it may have to do, again, because my stomach, the position your stomach is in when you're cycling, and the way your legs are kind of hitting on your stomach there. So, yeah. So those are my issues. I have gotten into Zwift racing recently, and I found myself being either very successful or just completely unable to do the race. And it all depends on my preparation and how I'm feeling. I did a race this morning, felt pretty decent, had a pretty good result for me, and felt pretty strong about it. So, I think that if I continue, I think I can keep adapting to it and getting stronger and better. So, and getting through these issues. So, anyway, if you're dealing with this, good luck with it. Hope I can help you in some way. Give me a comment. Let me know if you have any questions or if you think I'm just totally wrong. Or also, please let me know if you know something that's worked for you. I'd love to hear your issues. All right. Thanks. Later.